And we're back with another random recap, sort of a two-part episode because episode 8 and 9 sort of went together. I'm Ronnie Jr. and glad you like the channel, randomlyRJr.com, and all the other videos and uploads and other TV commentary stuff we do. But right now we are focusing on the challenge, and Richard, my brother, who loves the challenge and probably seen every season. Well, actually, you have seen every season is here. So you're a challenge expert, a challenge super fan, I guess.
Expert might be a little far fetched, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know your shit. You put your sports hat on and you start to say like, oh, well, yes, you know, he waited to do this with the puzzle because he knew that that would have got him the next person. And it's all these little things that I maybe miss, which is exciting.
Well, I would do that in a game of Uno if I had the chance.
Oh, you know, I just played Uno recently and I was very, very talented at Uno. That's like a game I'm very good at. I make it fun and I like Uno. I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's like super fun, actually. So let's talk about episode 9. This wraps up basically what is gonna happen. Who's getting $500,000? We've been hearing it since episode 1 of this inaugural season of the Challenge All-Stars. We love the cast members we've seen throughout the season. Obviously, sad to see some of them go. Some feel like they should be here, you know, Nehemiah, Kendall probably. But nonetheless, like I like this final 10. But we leave off a cliffhanger with episode 8. Darrell, he's saying in a voice that we've not ever heard. He was very much in pain, obviously. And he's saying, I might need a medic. We don't know what's going to happen from episode 8 to 9, but now as we pick it up on episode 9, turns out he did use the motivation from Kellyanne. But as you referenced last episode, it's kind of might have just been a way for him to kind of give himself a moment and for him to say, I like that you're pushing me, but like, I actually do need a moment. Like I'm this close from needing a medic. So chill.
It's like getting hit below the belt and then it hits you and you're like, I just need a second. I need a second before I could get started back up again.
Well, it's a good communication. I don't know about Chili. Well, yeah, I guess Chili and getting hit below the belt would be like a similar like this is real.
Like,
bad.
hold on.
Yeah,
you're probably crying in both of them.
I was gonna see what else. I was like stubbing your toe, like
the little toe. The little toe's the worst one.
Your funny bone. But the only thing is, I don't want to say all that because then, like, literally one of these contestants would be like, "Are you kidding me? Are you trying to say stubbing your toe is the same as the chili?" No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that simply that his communication was like, "Just chill. I'm gonna be okay, but like if you don't chill,
need a second."
Yeah, I'm calling a medic. It was this little red flag, hold on. But you know, she did. I gotta say, she put something out in the universe that like we don't even think of. You know, she's like, listen, come on, Darrell, you got this. It's like period cramps. So she motivated him. I think that's sort of what he alluded to, is that she believed in him and, he was in pain, but he didn't want to let her down. I really feel like when it's all said and done, it's just this motivation that two teammates will have with each other. Alton felt that way about Ruthie. And I think kind of we've been talking about it even on our episode 8 recap, how Big Easy had Anissa's back. This was more extreme. I was a little worried for Darrell, like what is really happening, but they utilized it to communicate. And in this game, it's always going to be about communication. Am I right? I'm right. Richard, so I did want to say,
I don't know if I've ever heard you say that you were wrong.
I've not been wrong yet. When I become wrong, I've known you for, I was going to say 40 years, but my 40 years, I've known you for a long time, younger brother. But yeah, if I'm ever wrong, I'll let you know. So that's, that hasn't happened yet.
I will hold my breath.
Okay. So we spoke about Kellyanne and the motivation. Speaking of motivation, I thought it was a nice little moment. I want to know what you think. The cast members kind of went down the line. We saw a bunch of confessionals, like what the money would mean to them. Sometimes you and I, we laugh and sort of lightly make fun of some of the contestants on like the regular challenges where they talk about what they would do with the money, or like some of them kind of make it as if, well, I need to win because like I got a family and you don't. So like no one really says that, but it's been sort of alluded, I don't know if you heard, but Corey has kids, and he's the only one.
Tony does
So
too.
yeah, and Tony does too.
Tony was the original Corey.
And while that's all very important, sometimes it doesn't play the same on the regular challenge. They're younger players. They all have their reason, but like to me, there was a slight difference with the challenge All Stars. I just loved the way each of them communicated. Everyone had like a little different thing, and they explained themselves really well. And I don't know, Rich, like maybe the extent of somebody talking about why they need this money, Mark, the issue with his mother, yes, and what he wants to do with it regarding community, like, and even Elton bringing his family together. Like, I just really saw it from a different angle, even though it was the exact same thing you see on the other season. I liked the All Stars confessionals as to what the money means to them,
Well, I think just as you get older and more of I'll say it in a nice way, a seasoned way, a little bit older, you just get more perspective in life as well, and how much family does mean to you. And like you speak upon Mark and his mom, it's like it's here and there, but you don't know if tomorrow is a for sure thing or not. So enjoy the present time and all that stuff. And so when you are doing this challenge and it's for money and you know what you can do for it, even though they say it's for the family, it's for the family, but in a different perspective.
I just think if you're on the challenge, the regular MTV season, you're going to need the money just as much as the All-Stars are going to need the money. The only difference is sometimes you don't really know what you truly need at 22. Sure, I need it for this and opening of my business, et cetera, et cetera. There's just a different thing about these cast members who used to be on television all the time, season after season. Then they have this huge gap, 10 years, 15 years. They're finally back. I just feel like they appreciate it a little bit more. That's all. It's nothing bad, but it's something that I definitely see as a slight difference. Even Kellyanne didn't do a big drawn out speech, but she did say like, I need this for, potentially for, to open this business, and it just felt right. So anyways, kind of a nice,
I have no doubt if I was in my 20s, I'm using half of it to party and then the other half for maybe a house, where like you're saying, yeah, maybe you use one night of when you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s to have fun, but then the rest goes to good causes and people who kind of need it, or you're kind of already settled in your ways.
I guess what you're saying is some of the characters, and I don't mean characters like their characters, but their characters a bit lacking on the regular challenges because they are like, 23-year-olds. It almost does feel like you wish that they would be a little more honest and say, I need this money so I can buy my car. I need this money so I can buy this jewelry.
Well, I think it was because, like Casey in one of them, and she got third place, and she's like, well, I got myself some new boobs.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's honesty.
You could appreciate it.
You can't fault anyone at that age.
Exactly.
You're supposed to have fun.
This is what I've been saying all throughout these challenge recaps is I love that this show feels like the exact same show because it is the challenge, same cast members, etc. However, it is done differently, even when they're navigating through this particular final. Like, I think the challenges do have more of that crafty mentality, like in the woods and the nature. It's not to say that that's not in the other finals, but like it just feels different. The texture, the drama, it feels a little different. So this to me, I'm ready for season 2, season 3, season 4. We should always have a challenge All Stars. CT and Adam for next season would be great if I was casting. I'm bringing back Coral if she wants to do it. There's just so many people. Maybe Keena from Road Rules. Lots of people I would bring back on this challenge, that's for sure. So in first place, Rich, we have Darrell and Kellyanne. So they get the 5 points. So again, Darrell's getting all these 5 points. So is Kellyanne. So is Yes. So is Janae. So this is definitely momentum for that team, especially Darrell, who almost needed a medic. Song wise, let's take a beat. Third Eye Blind, Never Let You Go. I believe that was in the movie Coyote Ugly. So that, to me, as soon as I hear that, I think of that movie. And then Harvey Danger, I believe, is who Flagpole is the song. That's in American Pie, right?
I believe so. There's so many American Pies, and I've seen them all, but I
You
couldn't pinpoint
you
which one.
did? You
Well,
saw
maybe
them
not.
all? No one
I don't know.
watches
There might have
all of
been like
them.
no. I think I saw the reunion one. Maybe not the cast off ones where it's like.
Oh.
I've seen a lot of them.
Oh, I thought no one watched anything but the original Stifler's mom. Like I thought that was like the only one anyone watched. But okay, nonetheless, yeah, these are some cool songs. Third Eye Blind, Never Let You Go. Like I said, I remember hearing that I think in Coyote Ugly and Harvey Danger, the Flagpole song. These are awesome songs. Good usage of them, right timing in the show, so it feels really good. Let's speak upon the mini challenge, checkpoint number 5. This is going to be our last pairing of teams. Now, I'm pretty sure you're going to have something to say about somebody's comment, but I'm going to say what happened and then you could kind of give me your opinion. So for the last pairing of teams, real quick, TJ alerts them that these partners are who they're going to be with overnight. So it's not only the last pairing, but it's like an overnight thing. You mentioned on our episode 8 recap, be careful who you pick and who you leave available, because granted, they didn't know it was going to be an overnight thing, but they did know that they were going to have to be with each and every person. So it's kind of stupid to not pick somebody you don't like, because you kind of want to get them out of the way. And that kind of happens with Jemmy, the complaining Jemmy with Big Easy. She's not into it. Before I get your opinion on that, it's Kellyanne and Mark, Yes and Ruthie, Alton and Janae, and Darrell and Anissa. I like all the pairings. What do you think about Jemmy talking all that trash about Big Easy like she is the world's top tier talent? What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what Jemmy does. I mean, that's why she's such a good cast member on all these. She knows how to float through the game, which is a big thing, and she's not afraid to say, "Hey, it's stupid to put yourself in. So if someone else wants to go in, go for it."
Oh, wait.
And
So a
Big
floater.
Easy's kind of that guy at the bottom, and he's kind of the opposite. Where if he does mess up, he'll throw himself in or stuff, and they've just never really gotten along. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
You can go into
trouble. Huh?
yeah. Go ahead.
It's troubling for Jemmy to talk like he's so bad when you struggle with quite a bit of stuff yourself. I felt like because Big Easy did bad, on a couple occasions, maybe he's socially not like, the best gameplay with social game. It's like they always blame him for everything. That's my only problem with it. But yeah, this is like, it's funny because Jemmy will go to camera and she'll say, this is worst case scenario. But then to what you said, your strategy, you're like, that's why you don't let this happen.
Yeah.
So it's funny to say to the camera, like, this was bad, but it's like, it didn't just happen to you. Well, I mean, I guess in theory it could have just happened to you because the teams do get picked quickly, but it's something huh?
Most of the times, I think when they do it like this, you do have every partner in a checkpoint. They've never had this many people in a final, but usually, say it's 3 teams, you do 3 legs with each a different partner. So I don't think I've ever seen it where they haven't with the final. Like you had to have a partner in each leg, so it's coming. Where at one time you're going to have to pick this partner.
Right.
So it's about picking when do you want. I wouldn't want to save my worst for last. I think strategy wise, you go your best for the first because it's elimination, and then you go worst and work your way to your best towards the end.
I actually agree with you 100%. Yeah, you factor in all of those elements. Well, here's the thing. It's an eating challenge, and I'm not making like a eating Big Easy joke or anything, but it's an eating challenge. You don't know if Big Easy did well with the chili, he might do well with this. It's an eating challenge prior to getting ready for this overnight, which I'll get to my frustration with the overnight thing in a second, but let's just talk about the eating challenge. There's a couple little notes of things that happened that were interesting. Alton, just like he enjoyed the bike ride, he's enjoying the fine foods. He's enjoying the deliciousness of the food. I tell you, once Elton split up with the Hisela, he was like another Elton. Is he a twin?
He was free flowing and free loving and just enjoying the experience.
he didn't make a big deal about it. He seemed to be taking the food no problem, and it was a charming little moment for him.
And I'm
Other
not sure if he did that just that's a mental game in your own head. Oh, this is fine. This is good. And you're just trying to like fool yourself into eating it and it tastes good. But I don't know. We would have to ask him.
I think all of those aspects of sort of kind of like how we talked about on our episode 8 recap, how Darrell picked up Ruthie and zoomed by Mark. I can't remember who Mark was with, maybe Kellyanne. And even if Darrell was dragging ass, it's his best moment to make it like, oh, this is easy, no big deal. Ruthie laughed, because when you're challenged, and Mark was like, kind of tired, the last thing you want to do for your motivational mindset is to see somebody else, kick butt. It may drive you, but a lot of times it could really like mess you up. You're like,
Yeah,
it's like
a
a
race
mind.
This long, you got to do little mental things.
Totally agree.
And one might be to go a little silly and just be a little loopy to kind of like release stress and just kind of be out of it. Where other times you might have to be like really focused and intense. And then there's going to be times where I think on a long hike or a long run, you're just talking to yourself, like to motivate. Like it may sound weird, or, in the editing or whatever happens, but you're just talking to yourself, like, come on, let's do it for this, let's do it for that.
Oh,
and
right.
just mentally, and you're mic'd up, so it picks up everything, but you're just saying it in your own head, like just repeat, go, like, why am I doing this? Like, to get the focus off the hurt and the pain, the reason why.
You could do any form of calculation to make that work. Like I know I've not been mic'd like that, on a challenge, but like things that have been frustrating, just even in like work or career or whatever. Like sometimes you have a deadline due for work, right? And it's like all these hours you haven't slept, I've worked in radio, and it's like all this stuff, and you're like, I can't do it. But then you have to just tell yourself, you're like, Ronnie, you are the motherfucker. I've done that sometimes, and I don't know that it helped. Although now that you're telling me this, I actually have said that. I'm like, oh, you are the shit. They fucking love you.
Yeah, it just gives you that, if you're tired at night, like you gotta like switch your mind to like pump yourself up somehow. Maybe it's those words, or if you're on a treadmill and you're dying, you're like, nah, and you just kind of gotta like zone out, or I don't know, anything in life in general where, I mean, you're doing a 2-day race up a mountainside and all this other stuff. You just got to go mental places to get the best out of yourself.
Yeah, let's not talk about a treadmill, because I was back on a treadmill for the first time in a long time the other day. And yeah, every minute I was like, all right, let's pretend.
I mean, you might start throwing little 4-letter words that aren't allowed just nonstop. And that might be your way of getting pumped up. I mean, I think I would be doing that if I was going up a mountainside.
Breathing crazy. I remember like when I had started to exercise back in the day, and really lose a bunch of weight, the first go around at that, I remember there was like a couple songs that had like a huge buildup. So I'd like turn on the what would it be called? iPod. I turned on the iPod. This was like several years ago when iPods were big, I guess. And I would put on a certain song that I didn't necessarily love, but it had like such a buildup. And I was like, ooh, this will buy me 2 minutes, or at least a minute and 30. And then the last 30 seconds, I'll just be like, go, Ronnie, you piece of shit, go. So I get what you're saying. Can we switch before we talk about like who's doing good or whatever? I want to say that we're getting a sense of some people doing really well, kind of, who's getting through it and who's failing. So we kind of have this moment of Jemmy and Big Easy. It seems like, tell me what you thought was transpiring there, but it seems like they're going back and forth. Like, I'm down to quit. Are you down to quit? But then there's kind of this low key energy of like, whoa, it's just the other person trying to make me be the excuse, but they want to quit all the same. Is that what happened? That's my first part of the question. But the second part is, I don't think you agreed with me, Rich, on the other challenge, because I mentioned this and we've already talked about it. When Fessy on challenge 36 was not doing good because Casey could not continue, you had said, I don't give a care. Fessy, sack up. I think it was a drinking or was it a food thing? I think it was both. You sack up and you go. I kind of sided with Fessy, where it's like, I mean, if I'm not gonna get to go, why do I have to like endure this trash? Like, I got to consider it an L. Do you think Jemmy and Big Easy were in that boat where they were kind of like, we're so far behind, we have such low numbers, maybe it's in our best interest to quit, but I just want to put it on the other person? Do you think that's what happened?
I think it's a little bit different between the two comparisons.
Mm.
Just for the fact because Casey we knew was not quitting no matter what. This one, it kind of seemed like they were kind of playing off each other, and I think they were a little bit of both. Both of
Yeah.
them a little bit ready to quit, but both of them not wanting to quit. So they kind of played off each other, and it was like, no, you're trying to quit on me. Well, damn, I'll go. And then, no, I'll go. And I think Easy already kind of knew he was out of it. Jamie, I think she was kind of in the middle. I'm not sure if we knew, if we know, like, if the money's all to one person or not at this point.
Right. Yeah. I don't
So,
know if it
like,
was
if
defined.
you're
Yeah.
in, I think Jemmy still had, she was still kind of in the middle. So if it's like first, second, third, fourth, but she might still have a chance where Easy's kind of out of it. You kind of figure he's going to be in last place. So, I mean, there's those little factors. I think they were both ready to quit, but both not ready to quit because of the other person.
I'm curious to know what the edit looks like for the confessionals, because sometimes I will admit, like, Jemmy is a little much, but like sometimes that's just the edit. We don't know. Big Easy could have been the exact same way. Like, oh, she's dragging ass, she's this, she's not doing good, and this is maybe a reason we should just stop. Like, but we only hear in the edit that it's Jemmy saying he's this, he's that, he's this, and that did discourage me a little bit because if you guys are both really having a hard time with this and you guys are both considering quitting, like, I don't know, just have a little more sympathy for each other because you're both in the same situation, I think. But I don't
It's
know. I
kind
don't
of Big Easy's edit most of
say
the time now.
say it
Big
again.
Easy does get that edit a lot. I think it kind of goes back to when he quit. So, I mean, I don't know if it's like you said, you don't know how they're going to be edited or not, but it does seem to be his storyline every time they bring him back.
Because Easy has a strong point of view and he tells literally anyone where to go. He's very ambitious, I will say. But sometimes I do wonder that, like, if we were privileged to see the interview with the producer for each of them separate, you never know. Big Easy could have said a lot of stuff too, but I think the way the show's edited, it's like Jemmy sort of picking on Big Easy, and then it gives you that sympathy, like, oh, Big Easy's getting blamed again when Jemmy's also having an issue. But whatever, it's a hard part of the challenge, so I'm not tripping over anyone really. What I did like, you seem to like TJ's final and TJ, and I don't like quitters. I think you like
I
that.
don't make the rules. TJ makes the rules.
I think you like that more than me, and that's cool. And I'm always like, TJ, enough. But it's fine. But what I did like was this was the right time, I think, for TJ to look Easy in the face and know, at least from the way it was edited together, it was as if Jemmy quits, it's nothing to her, really. It would suck, but she quits. I think TJ communicated through his eyes, like, Easy, this is literally like what you're known for, and you've been trying to build out of it. It's like, how you could give somebody a look and convey so much to them. I felt like that was motivating for Big Easy. So I was really happy to see him find a way to make it work. I was actually very happy about that. So kudos to the motivation of TJ and kudos to Easy for just like stepping up,
Well, like you said from the get go, too, he's just trying to finish the final to put the last final. It's never going to go away, but it's not as bright as it once was.
And flashing forward, we obviously know what the end looks like, but flashing forward, it's like his whole thing was, I just wanted to do this accomplishment. Like that has so much value to me. The 500,000 is great, but like this is big. So I really, God, just to think, like, what if TJ didn't get in his face? Maybe it would have went a different way. Like that's actually super supportive in some kind of crazy TJ's final kind of situation. Yes finishes first, and this is where we begin to see Yes, who's always super respectable and, stays out of the drama throughout the whole season. But like we keep mentioning, how Darrell jokingly just zoomed past Mark, and you got to kind of throw that little salt in the wound. I think Yes was doing that as well, because Yes does finish early. I think he finishes first, right? But you have to have your teammate. He lightly starts to taunt everybody, and he's also like super supportive of Ruthie. So I was like, oh, this is smart. This is aggravating. If I'm having a hard time eating this food, and Yes is like, yeah, that was good. Like I eat this stuff. Let's go. Barbecue sauce. I'd be like, you piece of shit. So it worked for me just watching it on the television. It had to work for them as well. So this is where
Yeah,
Yes
and
is
it's nothing like malicious, but it's like just enough, like that little tiny jab, like in the little ribs, just like a little poke, little poke.
yeah.
And if you're feeling the wrong kind of way, it can definitely get under your skin.
Yeah, talking about, standing, I could stand. Sleeping, it's like, if you don't shut up, can you run with a broken ankle? So in first place, even though Yes does really well at the beginning, I guess you have to finish with your teammate, which does make our first place team in this particular round. 5 points goes to Kellyanne and Mark, and I think this is Mark's only 5, which is kudos to Mark, and I thought that was great too.
And Kellyanne, who started so bad with a 1 and 2,
yeah,
starting to rack up the 5s.
Which momentum wise, I'd rather, I think Elton mentioned this, you don't want to peter out, like you do really well and then you do bad. I think it's actually, you don't want to do bad at all, but I like how Kellyanne built that motivation, which was cool. Sleeping conditions, one teammate stands, one is going to be asleep. It's freezing cold. It's kind of like a teeter-totter situation. Now, it's the challenge. You don't decide nothing. You just run TJ's final. But I wish it was like, hey, castmates, this is why I cannot be on the show. Hey, castmates, do you want to do 4 tough days, but you could sleep every night? Or do you want to do 2 tough days, but you don't really get good sleep? Oh, to not have your sleep is excruciating. And some of these people haven't went through this yet. Darrell, I think it was Darrell. He was like, I've not done a challenge, a final where this is involved. We didn't do this back at that time. It was, like a 1-day thing. Oh, this, to me, I'm not into this, but I don't know. How do you feel?
I could definitely see it for the other show, the regular challenge. Allstars, it might be a little bit much, but then again, they all pulled it off. And if you're getting 500,000, they're not going to make it easy for you. And that's probably mentally the hardest thing out of the whole final. So for that much money, I guess it's okay for that much money. Now, if they were like 100,000 and it's Allstars and we're just bringing back nostalgia, and then you're splitting up the 100, no, that's too much to be up all night. 500,000, I guess I could see it.
I think what trips me out, and I'm going to go back to my notes, I see if I can find it. What gets me really confused about this is that exerting your energy, not knowing. Sure, the show is expect the unexpected type deal, but like, am I like, if I know there's just one more day, I could just grind out that terrible sleep condition. But what if I feel like, dang, we're gonna go another day of what we just did, and then sleep again in terrible conditions, and then it's a third day. Like, I know it's so weird to think that, but like I would need to know that. Which, the only reason I mentioned that is because when I first watched the episode and sort of went back to episode 8 as a rewatch, he did say, and I wrote it down in my notes, so I'm going back in my notes here, over the next couple of days. Sure, a couple does allude to 2, but like couple of days could be 3 days. So that's the only thing that bugged my mind, is because I'm trying to think if I was there. I just ate the food.
I think all you could go by is, if you watch the last couple, it's usually that non-sleep day, and it's one last big hike to the finish.
Oh, like, I didn't think about that.
After that, there's not really that many pit stops or stuff like that. There might be one puzzle, but it's usually like one long hike or run that's a little bit longer than all the other runs that you did all the first day. But it's usually, especially lately, it's been up a mountain, so you get that view of the guy crossing the mountainside, and then the
Oh,
helicopter coming by,
yeah,
and
TJ arrived
everything.
in a helicopter. The cinematic effect. Okay, so in
Yeah,
that case, you should get with your veterans. You should get with like Anissa. This is where Anissa becomes a value. Sit with her those last couple of days and start picking her brain of what these challenges, finals rather, picking her brain as to what these finals look like. That's a smart thing to do. Then that way, hey Derek, what do you think? That way you could sort of calculate it. I didn't think about that, so that would be another actually a very good asset.
yeah.
Actually,
I mean, we've had some good ones where like CT was in front. It was like that final day after sleep, he gets off to a good start, and then Bananas comes from behind because high altitude and gassing out,
right.
or kind of happened to, I think Fessy gassed out last one, but yeah, a lot of them it's that overnight, and then sometimes it's who gets the best night's sleep. Sometimes I do first place gets like a nice warm room, second place is like warm blanket, third place is like sitting on ice,
Yeah.
and that third place usually doesn't do well the next day.
I think that's actually cool for the regular challenge. Like all the conditions are tough, but you get the worst of the worst if you finished, bad. I mean, thinking about it, so Big Easy and Jemmy did the worst, but they got the same conditions.
Yeah.
Theirs could have been worse if you think about it. Actually, I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Anyways, they it does get to morning time, and here's what, as a viewer, I just blindly forgot, and I'm sure you didn't, but I did. TJ arrives on a horse and everyone's sort of excited. Just I feel like they all knew it was the last day. You know what I mean? Here I'm saying it could be more than 2 days, but he arrives, he brings good energy, and he they all sort of know what's happening. Where my mind got lost, and this is maybe why I wouldn't be so great at this, is I forgot that it's still in a point system. I tended to believe, kind of like how Darrell shot up the mountain, that it was just like get to the top. But the reality is, at this point, it's not just get to the top. It's like points, And what's different is this final day, you have double points. So it's exciting. It kind of means if Mark, who's sort of not really at the top, but like, really trying to win, if he could get up there first, maybe he could win, kind of a deal. So my mind just forgot though. My mind's like, oh, whoever's the fastest, but like, no, it's a point thing. Basically,
And
Easy could
not
have.
only that, it might be not just where you place. You might need someone else to beat another person so they get less points.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. If somebody's like your closest competitor, you sort of need them not to get that point, the double. Yep, exactly. I'm excited about this part of the final because we're here we go. Song wise though, let's throw it in. Ricky Martin, The Cup of Life. I mean, that worked. It worked for me. I'm critical about the soundtrack, the scoring of music, but I was okay with that. Jermaine Stewart, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, which was in reference to Yes. Basically, what we had is as it starts, we have Darrell who sprints and Yes who strips. So we have two totally different situations.
Could see that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, right. Darrell who sprints, Yes who strips, but who's the winner? But it was it was done well. And the late
Yes.
yes, the late Jermaine Stewart. We don't have to take our clothes off. Such a fantastic song, but strategy wise, again, I don't watch it as strategic as you. I guess Yes was onto something. Like your body could overheat. He knows this type of stuff because he does these type of events or outdooring, backpacking or whatever. No one really got that information. I believe when Yes was doing really good, he told Mark, but he gets to a point where he does not tell Darrell that potentially you're going to overheat. So Darrell never says that, but do you think that was a reason he slowed down, or is it just the fact that Darrell sped up and then you gassed out a little bit?
Well, I think it's those little things like you're talking about that Yes did. He took some of the heavy clothes off first. It's going to make you lighter. It's not going to make you as hot.
Yeah.
You see Yes with the two walking sticks. I don't believe we see Darrell with them.
And I don't
That's
think
going to take less pressure off.
you want to know something.
So
I don't think we. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was pretty much done. But it's those little things that Yes did, where it's like he wanted to be with Jimmy on the first one. Well, let's finish it. Like, they're so small, strategic things. But I mean, I don't. If he's with Gisela on the first one, does he make it as well with Jimmy? You know, it's like these little forks in the roads that it seemed like Yes kept going the right route, the right thing to do.
Well, a couple things to what you say there. Yes, not yes, but agreed. Agreed,
Yes.
because even in episode 8, Darrell says, listen, Hasela, got love for you, but I don't want you in my canoe.
Hard play. I mean, yeah.
Because that's the one that and it's not saying that because Hasela got in the canoe, Derek lost. Like you said, Derek, Derek should have picked somebody. If Derek's bad at water and Hassel's bad at water, that's like double trouble,
But
So
that could have potentially been a big win for Derek if he beats Kellyanne and Big Easy. Imagine he gets Gisela out of the way on something she doesn't have to run with the bad knee, and then everyone else has to do it. And that changes the whole game.
It's almost like you have to adjust to these variables. And I feel like what you're saying is like, yes, sort of is adjusting to these variables, even if we don't see it. Even if it's so subtle, you're like, oh, not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's like once you see the situation, you exploit people's weaknesses, I guess. You know somebody, you've been in the house with them forever. You know the person who's not going to be good at the bike because you know that same person was probably making a hucklebub over the refrigerator in the house or some other thing that had to be done. They're not good with their hands, let's say. So you're right. You got to keep those in your mind.
Just making your best educated guess from what you see out there, what you know about the past ones, and what you haven't done in this one yet. I mean, you see a bike up there, obviously you're like, it's going to be a bikey one. You start by the water, usually it's going to be a water thing. And it's just putting every little thing and then to the best part of your advantage that you can.
Well, see, would you look at all these viewpoints? We start thinking when we have the right words, like you said, it should be on merch. Darrell strips, Darrell sprints, yes strips. If I could say it the right way the second time, it should be on the merch page. I will suggest RandomlyRJ.com always puts you to the merch page and all that stuff. So boom and boom, let's get some ching ching, let's get some money. And we're just getting started on our little recap here. So one last thing to what we're saying, those little tight moments, smart moments. I noticed that out of all of what we've seen, obviously we don't see all the footage. Yes, you mentioned it a second ago. He had the walking sticks. I think the only other person who had the walking sticks were somebody who was on his team. I want to say maybe Kellyanne. So even just that, like, how does that work, Rich, when no one else decides that's an important factor? Like, that's pretty crazy. Actually, if you think about it, no one else did that. I don't know how valuable that is, but I think when you add it all up, the taking the certain bits of clothes that are going to weigh you down, the walking sticks for gravity purposes. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, you just think, oh, I'm just going to hike and it's all going to be the same with or without sticks. But then if you think about like people who actually hike, they have almost like little ski poles to like hike with.
Right.
So when you see Yes with the little sticks, you're like, well, that makes total sense. Why didn't I think about that? It gives you a little bit more posture, probably. You could push off with the stick to help you move, and it's just like less weight and work for your body.
Why put all that pressure on your knees when you're trying to win $500,000? Yeah. It's so simple. The little things I remember referencing, as I said, from not working out to working out. Back in the day, I remember like I would do the little treadmill or whatever, very basic, but I wouldn't have a iPad. Like, you crazy? Like, put some music in your ear. You have to enhance the opportunity for you to be better at what you're doing. Just period, point blank. So it's very smart. Another touching moment as we wrap up here, Rich. Big Easy supporting Anissa supporting Big Easy. They obviously were on a team together where that similar type of thing happened, where I think they were last that go around. Coming up to that checkpoint, but it's happening again. They're both very slow, but I'm so for it, Rich. I'm so for the human emotion of like, they both have something to prove. Anissa has been doing this show for 20 years. Like, I don't know. I just, from watching her on Chicago, and Real World Chicago is like one of my favorite seasons, and kind of seeing her dedication today, this particular episode, rather, episode 9 of the Challenge All-Stars. I was very much here for it, and I love that they supported each other. I mean, I'm not saying one of them would have gave up, but you do never know. You're out there by yourself. You literally lost. You may just sit down. So,
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously we kind of mentioned them that they're kind of way in the behind. So when they do cross,
you're saying Big Easy has
moment.
a big behind? Who has a big behind? You're saying Anissa has a big behind? Oh my God. Can you believe it?
Oh boy. But no, one of my favorite parts, I mean, I don't know if we've actually said who's won, but up the mountain, you were talking about how Darrell got off to a hot start and went quick, and yes, took his time. And then you see Darrell in the confessional say, "Oh, I can't be beat. No one's around me. Ain't no one going to catch me. Not even Yes." And then pretty much in the same confessional, he's like, all of a sudden, I look back and Yes's came from nowhere and he's right on his tail. And then you go to Yes's confessional, he's like, well, I could be that nice guy and then just walk right by him, or I could talk some shit. Well, I'm going to talk some shit as I zoom by.
I think the shots were visually stunning. We talk about the cinematic effect of it all. It's like cinema, but then it also meets like the right time. You've been watching this season. If you're a viewer, you've been watching this whole journey play out. And some of these shots, man, and some of these choices for the confessional just really warm my heart. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone lose, but like Darrell to be so motivated. It's kind of like watching your favorite team, your favorite sports team, and they are so close. Like you're still proud of them, but it does suck, But then on the flip side, you're like, oh, yes, made some big fourth quarter game play, so you gotta show love. Like that's exciting, turn it up.
Yeah, he made it like in a basketball game, or he made like the hustle plays. He got that extra rebound by getting the walking stick or this and that, because you could kind of feel going into that last leg, it's Darrell or it's Yes.
Yeah.
And
Darrell, you don't think Mark at all? You feel no sense of Mark at all? Just he's just
Mark
too far
had
behind.
a chance. Mark had a chance. It was double points for this last one, so anyone really had a chance. Well, the top 5. So you go those 3: Mark with Yes and Darrell, but then you had Johnny, who had such a great run through the whole thing with getting 5s and 4s pretty much the whole way. And then Kellyanne won their last like 5. So it was probably them 5 in it. And it was just like how they would finish and how the double points would win. But I think when it really came down to is like whoever finishes Yes or Darrell, we felt.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless if one of them got hurt or something like that.
You keep openness because you don't know. Something could always happen. But yeah, it's definitely between them two. And just as a reference point too for these cast members, maybe not for this show because this is a competitive show and your social game is sort of impact as well. But some of these other shows, I feel like some of the cast members feel like their worth and their value is just to make great, crazy, chaotic reality TV. And what I liked about Yes is he was so subtle the whole time, but it didn't mean that he was necessarily like a chill guy who you could walk all over. And to me, all of that was encapsulated right at the end with that comment of like, oh, I'm about to like pass him. Like, what do I do? And you mentioned this already, I know. But do I do the shit talk or do I like, help him out? I'm going to do the shit talk. Like to me, that was like such the biggest moment. And,
if we're going to spoiler alert and say the winner at the end, the comment as he crosses the finish line is pretty awesome too.
Okay, well here's the finishing order. So again, visually stunning, TJ and his badass helicopter entrance. Some of the times I'm more critical over like the budget they use for TJ. I'm like, oh my God, but this one to me, I was like, oh my God, I need to get a trip to Argentina. Like, I don't know if I could ever do the challenge, but like, can I go do a TV show over there? Like, this was just all so beautiful to me. I really, really liked it. And you see again those sweeping shots, and it's that perfect time of day where like your sweat is just kind of like you're busting your ass, and you see it on the camera. And then crosses the finish line. He's like, give me that money. And what else does he say that also amused you? Because I think he
pretty much paraphrasing, he's like, and I got plenty of more. And not only that, you could bring on some of those cats from those other TV shows. I think referencing the main challenge and all those kids. He didn't say cats, but kids, whatever, But he's like, he's talking this little bit of shit. Like, hey, I'm the champ now. You're coming after me.
Yeah, he said, I'll take on all you motherfuckers.
At this time, we don't even know 100% sure because, like you said, it's not a time. It's not the first one to cross.
Mm-hmm.
It's a point thing.
You feel good, but you never know for sure. Yeah, exactly.
But he kind of knew, but just the way he came across, I mean, he's adding points too. I got 5 here, 5 there.
I think that's also the comment you make after doing so well. You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of like, you better. You're the first one. Like you feel good. Is another part of it.
You do a 2-day thing and say, and I got more, TJ.
He's like, let's go. Yeah. So he gave the duality. He wasn't a reality TV personality who had to be compelling and yell and argue and make good TV. He just was like all the way consistent, told someone where to go and how to get there if necessary, talked a little shit, but was super respectful. Perfect contestant.
I mean, who's been off air longer than him?
Well, that's the thing. He wasn't necessarily like he did it the first couple seasons. I guess he won early on, but the money was nothing like what they have now. But he, had his life, activist, architect.
Yeah, it's probably been since 2002 or 3. And then, I don't know, maybe Ruthie or Beth were.
Yeah. And even Beth, even though she's she's ancient when you talk about early real world seasons. I don't mean that as a diss, but she stayed on longer,
She's matured. That's a nicer way to say.
Beth is the one I give respect to Beth no matter what, because who else is authentically Beth, but anyways, it's not about her. My question to you, and I'll do the order in 1 second. I think I said this to you when we were talking about the other challenge, this merge with like CBS, Viacom, MTV, Paramount Plus, how it's all kind of coming together, even Paramount Plus, which used to be called CBS All Access. Do you feel that, I mean, obviously what Yes said was organic, but do you think there's a part of him that's like, let's go, put me on Amazing Race, let's go, put me on Survivor? I mean,
now it's possible because before it was never possible.
I kind of feel
it's because they're like different, but now that it's all, and you could see by the regular challenge, they are starting to pull some Survivor people. They've been doing Big Brother, they've been doing some other shows. It's almost now, since there's no real world, the best way to get on challenge is to go on a different show that has ties with the challenge. And that might be all the shows. If you want to get on Survivor, try to get on, just run the gauntlet with all of them. The only one that
go back to the gauntlet. No, just kidding.
Oh, the only one that's probably different is The Bachelor. They want fresh new faces for that.
Well, but that's not even the same network.
They don't want reality shows unless if they're the main person.
I think they sometimes will pick social media stars, but they mostly stick into like the MTV UK stuff or CBS. But anyways, regardless, I think yes. I mean, who knows? Maybe we don't know. We don't know. Like his wife. Like maybe his wife is really physical too. Maybe she's also in activism. Like they could literally do Amazing Race. And
I mean, you've seen many people from Survivor do Amazing Race or Big Brother do Amazing Race. And now, since they're all under the same platform of Paramount Plus, it goes anywhere. All of them could go to different shows if they probably want to.
I'll say it like this: Yes, and his wife, and Darrell and his wife, they all should go on the same Survivor season or Amazing Race season. Like to me, that would be Ronnie's casting, because I think that would be so cool to watch actually, and it would get those people who don't cross over. I cross over by watching.
I thought when you liked Yes and Veronica back in the day, you'd like to see them on Survivor, Amazing Race.
I mean that it could all work. Well, here I act like I'm getting paid to be a casting person, and I'm not. So I
where do we sign up?
Shut up. Yeah. but let me just do the order. But yeah, infinite possibilities with all this, you know. The finishing order, just for like bragging rights, I guess. Yes, Darrell, Mark, the Godfather, the way they pumped him up was so cool, you know, like such admiration, which I thought was awesome. Alton, and then we have Kellyanne, Janae, and Jemmy, Ruthie. um they're all sort of the first big part of the group, but then you have Big Easy and Anissa at the very end together. Everyone was proud of each other. It was, I don't know, super cool. You got Kellyanne, her moment. She had won first place in 3 of the little finishes. So I mean, these are actually things to be quite proud of, you know. Janae was recently pregnant, so I was into this group, Rich. I really
Well,
liked them all.
I kind of wish there was a guy winner and a girl winner, in just my
200% agree with
opinion.
you. Yeah, 200%
And
agree with
then
you.
not only that, I mean, those were the finishes for that last race, but to have the overall finish, it was impressive to see Kellyanne and John A finish up in third place overall.
Yeah,
Be
I'll
oh,
skip
okay.
to that. Well,
I
yeah,
forgot that.
skipping. No, it's fine. Third place is Janae and Kellyanne. Like again, yeah, when that was announced, I was like clapping my hands. Like
I
I'm like,
wasn't sure if John A was going to finish just before this, and she
right.
proved pretty much everyone wrong to never doubt her again because she killed it in this final, and she even killed it on that last hike after a full day of doing what they did, and she came in right behind Kellyanne, I believe, right?
Yeah, yes, she came in right after Kellyanne, yeah, and before Jemmy and Ruthie sort of came in together. Um, she was consistent. That is what's very important in this game. She,
Consistently good.
yeah, yeah, that's all. No one saw that. You know, that would have been something that, like, you know. Oh, real quick before I do the order, I liked the comment that was made by Big Easy. He said this wasn't a layup season. I thought that was cool, you know, and every these challenges, it's like who's the layup or whatever, but it was like he was taking that ownership, like this was not a layup season. We made a great show. We competed, we played hard, we worked hard. Like I totally thought that was a great ending, I guess.
And that's a big final. I mean, much respect. They all finished, and we've seen in many finals people don't finish. So
That's what I'm saying.
that wasn't an
Yeah.
easy thing.
Yeah. Oh, it was a Big Easy thing.
Big
It
easy.
just looked cool. You're right. It looked cool because you could have had this dramatic moment. It would have been like a teaser out of the commercial, like, you know, oh, someone didn't finish. But no, this is what you want to see sometimes. You want to see victory. Third place, though, as we were saying, Janae and Kellyanne. Second place, Darrell. First place, yes, $500,000. Give me that money. I'll take all you motherfuckers.
Bring those
um,
other people from the other shows.
And yes, you know, I follow him on Instagram. So he was just talking about, you know, the visualization, you know, the having that moment saying, this is what it's going to look like when I tell my wife and my kids. Like it is sometimes, well, always really, but that truth to manifestation, like to see it so clear is just like, you know, that is probably what's going to keep you going when stuff hits the fan or gets real tough, you know, because all of these people, they all, I don't know, like you want to go do the TV show, you want to put yourself in the challenge space, but like some of these people are like, you know, mothers, like Janae just had a kid. You
Yeah.
know, she's not exact, you know, that the attachment issue too.
Well,
So
just to see, yeah, they all have their kids and stuff, and to see them go through that. And I saw a little article on Yes saying he hadn't told his kids. He just said, "Oh, we, you know, did well, but you know, they can't tell anyone." He told his wife, obviously, but can't tell, and you can't trust kids to have secrecy. And so they hadn't
yeah.
watched it yet. And so I wonder what that would be like for him to watch it with his kids and see their reaction because they probably still don't know at this moment.
Oh, so like
Because they
kind of
haven't watched. Yeah,
watching it live.
he
Oh,
was
that would
saying
have
that
been,
they were going to
yeah.
watch it tonight with the family, with the kids, and he's like, "Yeah, I made final, but you know, it's good. I did well." But could you imagine just watching with your kids and then all of a sudden at the end, woo?
Oh, and then you hitting that good confessional too. Like I was thinking about them the whole time.
Yeah,
like talk about being so proud. Like, oh, that yeah, that must have been really cool. It was a good ending. I
I
liked
think they
the
all had like good little kind of like you said, little as they're crossing the finish line. like what it meant to them. Like
Right.
each one, we haven't talked about each one personally, but that would be a lot of talk. But each person, you could tell how much it meant to them just to cross, finish a final.
Well, no, even Darrell talking about like I've got what I've got, but like, this is the aspect where I'm trying to utilize this opportunity for generational wealth. Like, I mean, they all had something going. Mark with, with his, even at his age and his mom being, sick as the situation was. And like I also loved with Mark the Godfather, I assumed in my head, early on, I was like, what if Mark doesn't win? Like, is it gonna feel like a letdown? But I gotta tell you, it didn't feel like a letdown. It didn't feel like, oh, that's not how the season was supposed to go. It
I
was just
totally understand that because all the rumors was he kind of put together, and he's really good at these shows. And you're like, oh, Mark's going to win, and if he doesn't, yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
or
still
he's
felt
like
good.
a
Yeah,
favored producer. Not really. He just was part of the game, and it was more his tenacity to help get the game going. But that was it. That was it. And they all, the ones who did not do well, or not didn't do well, but had to go home early, they said the right things to hopefully come back. Like you saw that Derek's
except
like,
Arissa.
would you stop? Okay, you stop talking about Arissa. I'm gonna stop wondering why people don't like Kendall, but yet she edits herself so sweet. That's my only like real question. But you know what? We will not focus on any of the negatives. I don't know why Kendall had a little, I think Mark was even having an issue with her, but I still would like Kendall to come back. I would like Nehemiah to come back. We didn't get to see Ace, so I can't really say if I would or wouldn't. I think
Ace on nine. Ace on nine.
I think Letarian will be fun. I just don't know if he needs to come back immediately, but also maybe. Trishelle and Katie, I can do without them, I suppose.
Well, I'm guessing we're going to get mostly a different, probably half different cast. Okay. I'm guessing there's some people who didn't want to come back just because, what is this? Or, a lot of these people have families and maybe they couldn't get off this time. And next time they can, because you could go back quite a few seasons and there's a lot to pull from.
Yeah. Well, one of these days we might have to do our own version of a casting special,
like the other Theo from Road Rules. Well,
yeah, but he's so
Rachel,
he's so into his comedy. He seems to not talk about Road Rules like it never happened. But maybe who mentioned this.
Bring in the Miz.
Not that you're a huge fan of this guy, but I was just watching a podcast interview he had done. Mike from DC was talking about how he was invited originally. He's super competitive, so he wanted to do it, but he didn't do it because it was a time where he had like from the success or momentum, let's say, because Real World DC was not that popular, but from the momentum, he did get an agent or something or a manager at the time, and they suggested at that time things were a lot different than now with social media. It kind of feels like you adding value to your numbers is going to help your acting, but at that time,
back then you wanted to separate. Now you want to like run towards it.
They said no. Anyways, the particular podcaster I was watching asked him, would you ever do a show? Now he did slightly put himself on a higher level because of his acting, but he did say, I'd like to do a show if they ever did like a challenge version with like, he didn't say it, but he basically said the successful challenge people, meaning like people that made it, like Jamie Chung, Mike the Miz, like people that kind of weren't just challenge people. And while that's a bit shady,
well, I mean, you look at Johnny Bananas, but they've made something of this.
I don't know how you would call it, but it would be like the challenge success stories or something like that. And you would have all the people that sort of got
what if they did challenge successful people and challenge non-successful, and he was on the non-successful team?
Don't you put Big Easy?
Really
I'll only be okay with that if you put Big Easy on the successful team, because I'm sick of him being the making fun of person. No, but there's a lot of different options every day. I hope that you read that it's coming back, because it's definitely good for Paramount Plus. And I know that Road Rules is supposed to come up, and I thought it was a good season. My big person I'd like to see on another season is Coral. She's more in the vein of good TV, but I don't know if she's still into doing a challenge. People do get older, so you never know what's gonna happen.
You just never know like where people are at in their lives, where this is something they want to do or not. But
also,
it would be good to see some of those old school people for, you know, the nostalgia alone, and everyone has their favorites. And just this season, you're like, oh shoot, I forgot about that person. You know, where they've been, and just to see them back out there is a lot of fun.
And I think things changed so much. I remember when Mark Long left originally, it was kind of like he had aged out. Not even like the show, but like he was. I think he hosted like on the TV Guide Network, like a talk show, and he was trying to like transition his career to that. So you sort of leave the challenge to go do those kinds of things. But yet now the visibility is actually very good for you. So I'm wondering if people who left would want to come back. I know I heard in a podcast interview that Eric Nies said I think he said he was asked, but that's when they did the Real World Homecoming. But he said that if he was able to do it within his schedule, he would do it. So like, imagine a guy like that who, you know, he was in Above the Rim, he was on the grind, he did all those workout DVDs or whatever at the time. He has this whole new world of living in Hawaii and being spiritually connected. A guy like that jumping back in the challenge at 50 something years old, like Eric Nies from original Real World, that would be awesome. I don't know.
Well, it was like him and Mark that kind of ran those first couple challenges.
Oh yeah.
And then Eric kind of went away, and Mark, you know, he became the godfather of the challenge.
Yes, so much with the challenge. Great show. Any last thoughts, Rich? I guess that's it for Challenge All-Stars season 1. Anything that sticks out to you?
I'm just ready for the next challenge. Maybe I have to go back and watch a few other old ones again.
Something tells me that you're gonna binge something like that. If it's not that, it's Survivor. If it's not that, it's Big Brother. So
Survivor is coming out pretty soon. Maybe you're right.
Think
Survivor might be
I think your investment of Paramount Plus is like, you know, Paramount Plus should be paying you at this point.
Big Brother comes out in July, I think. So yeah.
Anyway,
we got time.
All right.
Summertime.
Well, this is my brother Richard. I'm Ronnie. The website is RandomlyRJr.com. Go there to source out to all the other stuff that's on the channel and all new stuff on Facebook as well. So that's it. Challenge All-Stars, hosted by TJ Lavin and sort of produced.
I'm about to train for TJ Lavin's final.
Hey, maybe they'll do the challenge.
Challenge podcasters.
Challenge podcasters, get that money. No, I'm kidding. All right, Rich, we gotta go. Talk to you later. This has been another random recap. Later.